Wait folks, do you ever decline to list your race when asked and given the option? Nah, I pretty much just always pick white also. Can anyone also answer why there's always a whole separate section for Hispanic or not Hispanic? Because Hispanic Latino is considered an ethnicity, not a race for demographics purposes. Hispanic people can be members of any race. You should do it for medical, everything else no. Certain ethnic groups are a little more susceptible to certain illnesses, like sickle cell and those with African ancestry, so this helps doctors. Anyone else doesn't need to know your race. Yes, I often choose not to comment on profiling questions like this. Am white, most of the time I prefer not to answer. It shouldn't matter. I know it does in a lot of places, but it shouldn't. Sometimes, but it's more just that I don't always feel like answering. It's not because of any sort of bias. Sometimes I'm just feeling more private than other times. Almost always, race shouldn't matter in most situations, and it's historically been used against people. If putting down white gives me an advantage, I don't want it. If putting down white gives me a disadvantage, I don't want it. Yeah, I'm so white my redneck is pink. But officially I've got enough indigenous ancestry to qualify for all sorts of benefits and I refuse to use them. Not because of racial shame or white guilt, just because I don't think race is a good attribute to qualify people on. Help me because I'm poor, you'll take that. Yeah, I never answer if there's a choice not to. I don't see much value in contributing to the idea of racial profiling. I'm based in Europe and we don't get asked about our race on any surveys or government forms. Citizenship yes, but not race. That thing is purely American. The government sees Hispanic Latino as a person's ethnicity, not the race. Ethnicity equals cultural background e.g. Hispanic or not Hispanic. Race equals physical traits e.g. white, black, Asian, etc. That's why surveys ask, 1. Are you Hispanic or not Hispanic? Ethnicity 2. What is your race? White, black, Asian, etc. A Hispanic person can be of any race: white, black, indigenous, etc. That's why they separate the two questions. I always answer, I live in New Zealand. Instead of white our forms usually say peka, which is the Maori word for white people, how we refer to white New Zealanders. Some people racists get offended at being called by a Maori word though, so there's often also a box that says New Zealand European. It means exactly the same thing. I always tick peka. Every time. It's none of their business. Always decline it. It's got nothing to do with them and doesn't help the process at all. I don't answer unless it's required. But I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, so my whiteness is complicated. To some people, I'm white. To others, mainly white supremacists Malaysians. Long story there. You should Google it, I'm not. I certainly pass for white and benefit from white privilege. But I've also been in situations where I absolutely had to hide my ethnicity, or there could be significant negative consequences. I am privileged in that I can hide it, but it also sucks to have to do so. People use anti-Semitic slurs in front of me because I just look white, and I have to decide whether or not to make an issue. Sometimes I make a point, other times, it's not worth the hassle. Anyway, that's my long spiel. I feel like I'm ignored by those categories, so I either decline to answer or just put white if there's no way to option out. Also, can anyone also answer why there's always a whole separate section for Hispanic or not Hispanic? Hispanic just means your ancestors or you yourself come from a country that speaks Spanish. A white guy from South Africa with US citizenship at my college US identified as African American. Pissed off some folks. I decline revealing my race on all forms aside from medical. My race shouldn't matter and people are biased. Yes, what difference does it make what my ethnicity is? I usually don't give my race. Not because I'm afraid to share it, but because it's none of their business. Nearly always because it's none of their business. My exception is when it's health related.